Rani Ngobo says, Sakina, what is happening to our soldiers in the DRC? Why is there so much secrecy? We hear lots and lots of stories, but no one from the Ministry of Defense wants to come clean, which leaves a lot of speculation. And can you please bring either minister or deputy minister, because we need clarity. Yeah, I think that is where that is at right now.
SAFM 104 to 107 nationwide. Leading the conversation.
Now, the Health Department has unveiled a new HIV treatment campaign that aims to close the gap between persons living with the virus that are on treatment and those not on treatment. The campaign, which is, of course, a collaboration between the South African National AIDS Council and stakeholders in the health sector, seeks to close the gap by the end of December this year, 2025, and government has made efforts to enhance ongoing interventions on the uptake of life-saving HIV treatment to ensure 95% of the people diagnosed with HIV receive and adhere to antiretroviral therapy in order to achieve viral suppression. But for more on this, we joined on the line now by Director for HIV Treatment and Care at the National Health Department, Dr. Musa Manganye. Thanks so much, Dr. Musa, for your time, and welcome to Update at Noon.
Good afternoon, Sakina, and good afternoon to your listeners. Thank you for having me.
Dr. Musa, firstly, just to be clear, when Donald Trump came to office and issued all of those executive orders, there was a lot of talk about PEPFAR and funding. So with this latest development, is PEPFAR funding still part of the whole setup?
Unfortunately, not the case currently, Sakina, because we know that the pause from the U.S. government has been an immediate executive order, which then mean no resources, no investment that we had with the cooperative agreements with the U.S. government that we currently have in terms of our response. So government is largely leading the response with its resources.
So as we speak, how many people in South Africa are currently living with HIV?
We have 7.8 million people that are currently living with HIV in the country.
And how many of those are currently not receiving treatment, Dr. Manganye?
Well, in as far as our gap analysis is concerned, we have over 1.8 million. But as far as closing the gap to achieve our 95, we have about 1.1 million that we need to still put on ART.
Is there any indication as to the factors that contribute to patients not following through on treatment? And as I ask that, I just want to backtrack slightly and ask whether those who are not currently on treatment have been on treatment, or are these people who have not been on treatment, before I ask the question I asked previously.
So, looking at our 1.1 million gap, this is the combination of the clients that were ever been on treatment, as well as those who know their status but they never been initiated. So we're talking about the variation between those two factors,
And just talk us through, Doctor, if you will, the importance of this campaign and how government hopes to ensure success.
Well, thank you so much. I think given that this is a multi-sectoral approach in terms of the response towards accelerating, closing the gap of the 1.1 million, both the Ministry of Health, the South African National AIDS Councils, as well as the AIDS sectors and all stakeholders that are actually involved are working together to make sure that we be able to re-engage all our clients back to the mainstream and be initiated on ART. And part of that is really to make sure that we're able to identify areas which also has a bearing in terms of maximizing our combination prevention measures. I tell you this because if many people remain not on treatment, the chances are high that we continue to have a new HIV infection. That is why we have over 150,000 people being infected yearly in the country. So it is then for that reason that as we embark on putting back our clients back to the treatment, it would of course reduce stigmas, it improve treatment adherence, it will also help in terms of making sure we foster the TB and HIV integration so that we're able to really galvanize the dual prevention measures in terms of, dealing with the scourge of the TB in particular. But at the same time, making sure that we're able to enhance more capacity through our treatment literacy programs, making sure that our people know that once you are on treatment and you are virally suppressed, you then be undetectable, which therefore means the chances are zero for you to transmit the virus to your sexual partners. So all these are done in a way where we are making sure that options are made available to access the treatment. We have what we call the differentiated model of care, so that clients don't need to frequent the facility every time and again. They can get 3 months, they can also get the 6 months, which we are now in preparation to make sure that we're able to optimize within the country. All these are measures that we're putting in place as a country with all our sectors, with our partners, to make sure that we're able to close the gap. Hence the acceleration that we are embarking on today as we mark the launch of the 1.1 campaign that the minister is leading.
Well, Dr. Manganye, thanks so much for your time, Director for HIV Treatment and Care at the Department of Health. And that, unfortunately, is all that we have time for this afternoon. It is 1 o'clock. Here's Ondelambana with your latest news.
Thank you, Sakina and the team. Top stories at 1. Lesotho instructs the JRA to repair potholes, and Commander reacts with the withdrawal of charges against him. For SAFM News, I am Ondelambana, and a very good day. Gauteng Premier Panyaza Lesufi says he has instructed the teams at the Johannesburg Roads Agency to repair potholes within 72 hours of it being reported. Lesufi says he's appointed the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research to identify potholes on Johannesburg roads and notify the agency. The Premier will be meeting with President Cyril Ramaphosa and the province's local government to discuss the 13 major issues affecting the province. Lesufi spoke to SABC News this morning.
We're putting up the system. We have appointed CSIR, pick up any pothole that develops. And we said to our staff, 72 hours. After it has been reported to us, let's repair it within 72 hours. Traffic lights. The kind of traffic lights that we have is outdated. So we have identified 400 that we want to replace as quickly as possible. So we are attending to it. We call them G13 now. These are 13 problems that we need to resolve as government. And on Friday, I'm meeting with the executive mayors just to put a concrete plan that will address this kind of situation.
Former Johannesburg Mayor Kabelo Komanda says he's vindicated now that the state has dropped all charges against him. The Protea Magistrates Court in Soweto has provisionally withdrawn Komanda's case as the state has failed to present the charge sheet. It was alleged that Komanda and a co-accused defrauded Soweto residents through a funeral policy scam. It ran between 2011 and 2012 through Komanda's then company Itemba Lama Africa. He says he has always maintained his innocence.
I think it's a demonstration that the truth will always prevail. If you know that you are innocent and you state that you are innocent, ultimately it will be proven as such. I mean, what kind of a person is taken to court without a charge sheet? And yet he's famous for being a criminal already. According to popular belief, Councillor Kabelo Komanda is a fraudster.
The N4 between Zeerust in the northwest and the Botswana border has been closed due to protests. Protesters have blockaded the intersection of the busy N4 and R49 roads just outside Zeerust CBD. Police spokesperson Mpho Manyoba has urged motorists not to use the road until further notice.
Northwest Zeerust, there has been an ongoing protest action since 7 o'clock this morning. The road is blocked. The R49 route from Rustenburg entering Zeerust closed. The R49 route from Mafeking to Zeerust, from Gaborone to Zeerust, as well as the Kloof Street that is entering Zeerust CBD is also closed. Road users are urged not to use those entries, those routes, until further notice. The situation is under control.
Western Cape Police Commissioner Thembisile Phathekile says they are working with their SADC partners to minimize and control the guns that entered the country illegally. Phathekile addressed the media in Cape Town on the 2024-2025 third quarter crime statistics for the province. Phathekile says the murder rate in the province decreased by 7.9% during the financial year.
We've seen the recovery of many AK-47 in the city of Cape Town. In South Africa, we are not licensing AK-47, but the neighboring countries, those weapons are official firearms. And we've seen some firearms that we retrieve where they are not in our systems. And then it turns out that those guns are coming from other countries.
Syria's new interim president Ahmed al-Shara has opened a national dialogue conference pledging to set up a transitional justice committee to restore people's rights. He told 600 delegates assembled in Damascus the committee would bring to justice those who committed crimes against Syrians and restated the state's monopoly on holding weapons. The BBC's Luna Sinjab says decisions at the meeting will be watched closely.
The key issue for the outcomes of this conference is how the caretaker government is going to take the recommendations. The EU and the West and even locals have been calling for an inclusive government, a government that represents the whole society and protects women's rights, and that's the way forward to ease sanctions. So if they don't make real efforts to be inclusive, there will be concerns over the sanctions and the economy.
Recapping the top story, Gauteng Premier Panyaza Lesufi says he's instructed teams at the Johannesburg Roads Agency to repair potholes within 72 hours of it being reported. I'm on Dilamara for SFM News Headlines at 1:30.
Okay, Lehasa, we are recording 3, 2, 1, go.
A cold case is opened 39 years later after the body of a young man is discovered in a derelict building. There are 4 suspects. Suspect 1, a clergyman. Suspect 2, an eminent entrepreneur.
I really, those people are always shady.
Suspect 3, a community worker.
Hey, what are you saying?
And suspect 4, a wheelchair-bound husband caring for his wife.
Hey, and the fella you can't.
Each has a secret to hide. As their lies unravel, the people that they love the most begin to wonder what else they might be capable of. Nothing in this case is black and white. Can you ever really know the people closest to you? What secrets have they buried? Tune into Unforgotten Season 1, Monday to Wednesday at 9 p.m. Starts 24 February only on S3. Tabo, don't tell me that the script freaked you out. Where are you?
SAFM would like to thank everyone that submitted their entries for the playwriting competition. The announcement of the top 10 and winners of the competition will be announced on the 3rd of March 2025 on The Talking Point with Kathy Mutlatlana. Stay tuned to SAFM and find out who is the lucky winner. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. You are listening to The Full Circle.
Strumming my pain with his fingers, singing my life with his words, killing me softly with his song, killing me softly with his song, telling my whole life with his words, killing me softly with his song. he sang a good song. I heard he had a style, and so I came to see him to listen for a while. And there he was, this young boy, a stranger to my eyes, strumming my pen with his fingers, singing my life with his words, killing me softly with his song, killing me softly with his song, telling my whole life with his words, killing me softly with his song. I felt all flushed with fever, embarrassed by the crowd. I felt he found my letters, read each one out loud. I prayed that he would finish, but he just kept right on, strumming my fingers, singing my life with his words, killing me softly with his song, killing me with his song, telling my whole life with his words, killing me softly with his song. He sang as if he knew me in all my dark despair, and then he looked right through me as if I wasn't there, and he just kept on singing, singing clear, strong, strumming my fingers, singing my life with his words, killing me softly with his song, killing me softly with his song, telling my whole life with his words, killing me softly. Singing my life with his words, killing me softly with his song, killing me softly with his song, telling my whole life with his words, killing me softly. He was strumming my pain, yeah, he was singing my life, killing me softly with his song, killing me softly with his song, telling my whole life with his words, killing me softly with his song.
Well, that voice will sadly be missed. Roberta Flack, killing me softly, and she passed on Monday. So sad. But I suppose we all depart at some point, and we just have to do what we need to do whilst we are on this earth. Coming up on the show, oh, by the way, Bertha Charuma with you until 3 o'clock this afternoon. I'm in for Bridget Masinga. On the Full Circle, nurses crucial yet undervalued in TB patient care. We're going to talk about the role of nurses when it comes to taking care of these patients, and I'll be speaking to Dr. Carmen Christian, an economics lecturer at the Economics and Management Sciences Department. Also coming up on the show, on stages, pages, screens, and more, I'll be speaking to Jaco van Rensburg, executive producer of VR Theatrical for the Maynardville, and we're going to be talking about The Tempest. And this is something theatrical that is done outdoors. An amazing experience, and we get to unpack and why it makes it this unique. Also coming up on the show, call for submissions, 2025 Fame Week Africa's Short Film Festival, and we'll be chatting to Stephen Beckett, Fame Week Africa's Head of Marketing. So if you're a writer, if you're a producer, this is a space where you can get some insight, and maybe this is a moment where you get to shine, showcase your work. So I think that will be fascinating for you to listen to, and also we'll be giving you information as to if you would like to get in touch. Also coming up on the other side of the show, we've got Sexual Reproductive Health Month, and we're talking health and wellness, and I'll be chatting to Dr. Kensani Nkwashu, Executive Manager, NSP Implementation at the South African AIDS Council, and of course at the end of the show towards 3 o'clock, campaign Dads for Pads. Yes, we're changing the narrative. Dads were never really involved in taking care of their girls or knowing the cycle of their girl child. And I think times have changed and we need to adjust. And we'll be speaking about that. And we'll speak to Candice Chirwa, founder and director. That's all coming up on The Full Circle.
You are listening to The Full Circle.
It's time to shine for young athletes across South Africa. From thrilling football and rugby matches to intense netball games. Experience the passion and prowess of Mzansi's finest young sports stars. Super Sports Schools and SABC Plus bring you the specially curated channel dedicated entirely to school and youth sports. Join us as we celebrate their achievements and bring the excitement right to your screens. This is your chance to support the future of South African sports. The Super Sports Schools channel on SABC Plus, where every game is a home game. Don't miss a moment. Download the SABC Plus app today. Available on iOS, Google, and Smart TV. Or visit sabc-plus.com to start streaming. Super Sports Schools on SABC Plus. All the sport you care about most. Now streaming wherever you are.
And then, how? SK, where are you going with that stuff?
My dog. I'm going whale watching. New hobby, you see. Finally going out to explore the world. Giri levels, Dwana.
I see the life jacket, but I don't know how an inflatable boat, megaphone, and a fishing rod fits into all of this.
How else am I going to get to the whales, Bongs? I need the boat. The megaphone is to do my whale calls, and the fishing rod, it's called ambience. Ambience. If you don't get it, forget about it.
Okay, but SK, you know there aren't any whales here in Germiston Lake.
Ooh, Shem, Mr. Know-it-all. Whales live in the water, and Germiston Lake has water.
Hey, sure, Ntwana, go whale watching in Germiston Lake. Me, I'll tune into Whale with Steve Buckshall, Sundays at 5 p.m. only on S3.
Bertha Charuma on SAFM.
It is The Full Circle, and touching on nurses. What is the importance? Why are they so crucial? Nurses crucial, yet undervalued in TB patient care. And joining me to talk about it, I've got Dr. Carmen Christian, an economics lecturer at the Economics and Management Sciences Department at the University of the Western Cape. And why we are having this particular conversation is because with Tuberculosis Month approaching in March, a University of the Western Cape professor examined the crucial role of nurses, the role that they play in caring for tuberculosis patients. And in an often unappreciated role, their dedication goes beyond medical treatment, extending into acts of kindness that significantly impact patient well-being and treatment adherence. Dr. Carmen, good to have you on the show.
Hi, good afternoon, Bertha and listeners. Thank you for having me and also for making time to shed light on this very important topic, as you correctly said, especially in the run-up to World TB Day on 24 March. Thank you.
So when you did your research, what is it that you found important that it needs to be shared? What made you feel they are undervalued?
Yes, so I just need to clarify, Bertha. We conducted interviews last year with nurses and frontline staff who work with TB patients as part of a broader TB research project that focuses on the TB patient and how they access TB care. So our research question really had a different focus. But in those interviews, what emerged and what we could call a discovery, an incidental finding, was that many of these nurses were in fact buying food for their TB patients, giving them the food before they take their medication. And not only that, they were paying for this out of their pocket. This was really a shocking finding that, we just could not keep quiet about it. The fact that nurses, who are the backbone of the public health system in South Africa, are doing more than just labor that they get paid to do. They are actually exerting a financial cost out of their own pocket. They are paying for patients to get food.
Are there no systems in place that supplied by the government? I don't know if there's anything that exists whereby you could have a program that supplies food.
Right. So we used to have feeding schemes which TB benefit from. But during the COVID-19 pandemic, when a lot of foreign aid was withdrawn suddenly, a lot of these donor-funded feeding schemes just closed down, and they've never come back again. Patients who have TB also have access to temporary disability grant, but there are hurdles to accessing that grant that I can speak about in more detail later. But because of these barriers, very often patients are vulnerable in terms of food security, and they do not have access to food. And to take these TB medication without food, the side effects are horrendous. And the altruism of the nurses, it's to such an extent that they feed the patients. The nurses are picking up and filling in that gap that we currently have in the system.
This is quite worrying that nurses have to take money out of their own pockets. And we have a tendency sometimes, we struggle with this verbal activity where we don't even grasp what is on the ground, on the grassroots. And we say a lot of things before we actually understand the situation at hand. So going forward, what action needs to be taken here?
Well, first of all, just to bring attention to this matter. It's exactly as you said. Very often what happens at the grassroots level gets overlooked. It gets swept under the carpet. And nurses need more than our gratitude and our admiration. Their kindness costs should be counted. So we need to investigate this. We need to measure how many nurses are paying out of pockets, not just for TB patients. This could be happening in other disease areas as well. And once it's quantified, we can then say, okay, so what kind of policies can we implement so that nurses don't have to fill this gap? We first need to create that awareness about it and to measure it and bring this to the attention of policymakers so this can be factored into the budgets when they create policies.
And maybe if you could just break down for me, the grants that are readily available. Are there any that are readily available?
Yes. So in this context of a TB patient, they are eligible for a temporary disability grant. However, it is not it's not a straightforward process. It's not a user-friendly process. At many facilities, finding the right person to complete the forms is often a hassle, and this often falls to the responsibility of the doctor. And the doctors are overburdened with a patient load, and so, doing this paperwork falls to the bottom of the to-do list. Then, in addition to that, once those, forms are completed, the patient then needs to get additional forms like banking details, IDs, certify it, and so on. So you can imagine you've got TB, you are tired, you are coughing. If you have all these hurdles in place in order to get a grant, halfway through that you give up. And unfortunately, this is what happens for many TB patients when it comes to the temporary disability grant. So this is also an opportunity for access to those grants to be made far simpler and faster for our TB patients.
And this is something that we've all noticed as a country, as a people, that we are very good at coming up with solutions, which means we can come up with policies, put money together, but then the distribution of those funds, I don't know, something just happens along the way and it never gets to the right hands. Now, in this instance, if we look into this case, is there no way where maybe the government can create a process whereby, whether it be clinics, whether it be hospitals, there are sections that just provide food, knowing that we do have patients that come to take their medication, and this is a TB center. Food shall be allocated, and this food is made readily available from the system itself, rather than having to send someone a grant.
Okay, yes, so you're talking about whether it's better to give something in kind versus in cash.
Yes.
And there are pros and cons to both of that, and what the government does do is they implement both as far as possible. So, giving the patient the cash is more efficient, but of course it comes with other potentially perverse incentives or misallocation, misuse of those funds. When it comes to giving food in kind, yes, that would require a lot of coordination and cooperation between different departments. And you're right, we have these beautiful policies on paper, but, implementation is both an art and a science. And having that work effectively, at the ground level requires a lot of collaboration, cooperation, different departments having to work together, and very often in cases like that, because staff are already so overburdened, they focus on their core mandate. So at the clinic, my core mandate is health, right? And on the other side, maybe social services, it's more the social mandate that's their core business. But getting those departments to speak to each other, to create systems that work for the sake of the patient, that is super important. And yes, there are areas where it does happen. There are communities and sub-districts where you get that type of collaboration, but it's not something that happens throughout. And this requires a lot of more decentralization and giving those who work in the public health sector the authority and the freedom to be able to feel that they can engage in those type of activities, and sort of space to do that, which doesn't often exist.
You mentioned, COVID. During the COVID period, I think a lot of disruption happened, right?
Yes.
And taking a look at the NPOs that used to facilitate or give a hand to make sure there is at least food, what does it look like now that we are over the hurdle of COVID? Are we going to see them come back? I know we have got a situation where aid has been abruptly stopped by the U.S., which I would like to believe is also going to play quite a pivotal role in terms of we are going to, have a little bit of a challenge. But are we going to be seeing any of these NPOs coming back?
Yes, that's a really good question. We are facing very uncertain times. I mean, last week, the budget speech was postponed. Extremely uncertain times, and stakeholders in general, we don't like this because we cannot plan a way forward in a climate of uncertainty. So it's very hard to kind of forecast and anticipate how things will unfold. What I can say, based on my experience of having worked very closely with people on the ground during COVID, is that our frontline workers are resilient. When it comes to crises, it's all hands on deck. They make a plan. NGOs too. These are people who do care. They do care about the patient. For me, it's just unfortunate that we often have to rely on their resilience in cases like this. You know, where they should have more funding, more budget, etc. And yes, right now everyone is trying to do the most with the least.
That's
and
true.
With funding having been paused. But I'm positive. I believe I've seen it time and time again how the South African public health sector manages to rally together under times of stress. But we cannot continue in this fashion. It cannot be a case of relying on resilience and strength and altruism and people paying out of pocket, which is inevitably what happens. And I see the NGOs, I put them in the same category as the nurses as well, because they often do this, these altruistic tasks. So, yes, let's look for opportunities from other sources. I remain positive in that regard. Yes, and we don't give up. We keep fighting for our patients.
Dr. Carmen, I need to go to headlines, and I would like to request if we could continue with our conversation on the other side of 1:30. Because I've got quite a number of callers that are coming through, as well as voice notes. And just also if you are out there, you want to contribute, maybe ask questions, or maybe you are faced with a challenge that is relatable to what we're talking about. Nurses being undervalued in terms of when they look after TB patients, and they have to go take out their own money from their own pockets to supply food to patients so that they can take their medication. For me, that is something that is it just shows that the system somehow is so broken. But that's my view. What is your view? What is your take? What's been your experience? And maybe you can share your thoughts. That's 0614104107. You can send us a voice note, or you can give us a call on 086 000 2032. Jay, I see you. We'll come back to you after the headlines. It's 1:30. News headlines at 1:30 on SAFM. I am Ondelambana, and a very good day. President Cyril Ramaphosa says government has gazetted Customary Initiation Act regulations for public comment. This after Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs Minister Nkosini Tlhabisa held a meeting with relevant stakeholders last month to discuss the challenges associated with customary initiation practices. The National Department of Health has launched a new HIV treatment campaign aimed at getting the missing 1.1 million people who are not on treatment into care by the end of December this year. And US President Donald Trump has backed Elon Musk's directive to federal employees, saying that non-responders would be, as he put it, sort of semi-fired. A full update follows at the top of the hour.
You are listening to The Full Circle.
And I'm speaking to Dr. Carmen Christian, an economics lecturer at the Economics and Management Science Department at the University of Western Cape. And we're talking about, it is Tuberculosis Month, and nurses being undermined, really going an extra mile, providing food for patients, and what the resources that they use are their own very resources. And it's so unfortunate that as a society, this is where we've come, and we don't even support these nurses. And maybe this is a call out to say, if you're in the community, maybe if you're able to do what you can, it will greatly be appreciated. But let me go to Jay in Somerset West. Good afternoon and welcome to the show.
Oh, hi. Yes, a very important subject. Just before Trump cut the donations to the world, apparently 4.5 billion rand was sent back, which couldn't be used for health, to the fiscus. Now, I want to know what happened to that money, because it could have been used for TB. It could have been used for other health things. And where is that money? Can't it be sent back because the donations have been cut to help the people? 4.5 billion rand was sent back, unused. Of course, they didn't know Trump was going to cut it, so they sent it back before Trump did this, so they weren't to know. But, the government should give it back, because now it's needed desperately.
That's Jade. Dr. Carmen?
Sorry, Bertha. I'm actually driving to another appointment, so I missed half of the comment. But I got the latter part, something about funds that were returned.
Some funds, yes. She said 4.5 billion was returned back, and she's asking the question, why would such a large amount be sent back when we have a situation like, for instance, the tuberculosis, where nurses have to take money out of their pockets when this money that was donated was never used?
That's interesting. I was not aware of this, so I cannot comment on that. But often in cases when donor funding is given, there are conditions attached. And I'm not sure under which conditions the funding was given and if it was earmarked for specific, to be spent in specific ways. So that's as much as I can say on that question.
And that is true. Sometimes the terms and conditions, the fine print really ties us up, and you could be given a large amount for just one specific thing, and if that one particular thing is not affected and you don't need funds for that one specific section, then you have to return the funds, which just makes it so sad. I suppose it really means we need to sit down, and when we structure the policies, we need to pay attention and close the gaps that makes us sit with such situations.
Yeah, Bertha. I mean, especially when it comes to a disease like tuberculosis, which is exacerbated by social determinants of health. What do we mean by social determinants of health? We're talking about access to infrastructure, clean water, sanitation, housing, having an income, having good nutrition. All of those other social determinants are factors which exacerbate tuberculosis as an infectious disease. So it's not something that is only tackled by the Department of Health. It needs to be tackled at a broader level. In terms of economic development, in terms of employment, in terms of housing, in terms of even education. So it really needs a comprehensive approach when it comes to policy making, and again, collaboration between different departments, policies that make sense and that amplify each other instead of oppose each other. It's not simple to do. Government they are trying. I often say we have some of the best policies in the world. But again, when it comes to implementation, it's extremely complex.
And I like what you said when you said it is time to acknowledge and support the hidden costs of kindness that nurses bear every day. Now, these hidden costs, ideally, if you were to give recommendations, what sort of a recommendation would you give?
Well, first of all, I would recommend that we go and investigate and find out more about it. Who are paying out of pocket at the primary health care level in terms of frontline staff, and how much are they paying out of pocket and for what? Let's first understand what we are dealing with, the magnitude of the problem, so that we can factor it into our costing analysis. Because we do costing analysis all the time, but we only consider provider costs and sometimes patient costs. So we're winning the battle now with finally considering patient costs. But now it looks like we need to add another dimension, which is also to consider staff costs, and not just assume that they don't pay out of pocket. Once those costs are measured and estimated, we can then sit and say, okay, this is where the gaps are, this is where they're spending money on. What do we have in place that can be better used so that this doesn't happen? What new policies need to be created in order to fill that gap? How can we better budget and allocate our resources so that this additional financial burden does not fall on frontline staff?
Dr. Carmen Christian,
We'll have to end it at this point. Thank you so much for making time for us. And going forward, let's hope this particular problem will be resolved somehow. It's important that some of these issues handled with urgency. That is Dr. Carmen Christian, an economics lecturer at the Economics and Management Science Department at the University of the Western Cape, chatting to us this afternoon.
It was all good just a week ago. Life was smooth. I was paying almost nothing for electricity tokens. All that changed when I was given a big fine for buying illegal electricity tokens from illegal vendors and my neighbor for tampering with his meter. Now, I might go to jail when all I had to do was register for free basic electricity at my local municipality since I'm unemployed. Ungathatha amachance. Buy electricity legally. Report illegal electricity token sales in your area and meter tampering to Eskom on 0800 11 27 22.
Fizzy drinks and fruit juices can make our children sick. Sugar is dumped into their bodies with every sip, which could lead to obesity, heart disease, and diabetes as they age. We must protect them from drinks high in sugar. Demand a stricter health promotion levy now. Sign the petition on heala.org. That's HEALA.org.
The whispers in the morning as I look in your
This February, the month of love and self-care, at SAFM we're celebrating with you, spreading love to all. Let's embrace kindness, connection, and self-care. And as always, SAFM will continue leading the conversations that move us through love, wellness, and everything in between. This month, let's love ourselves, love each other, and keep the conversation going. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us.
'Cause I'm your lady and you are my man.
Stages, pages, screens, and more on the Full Circle.
Absolutely true. Shakespeare's last play, The Tempest, opened at the Maynardville Open Air Festival in Wynberg, Cape Town this weekend, continuing a decades-old tradition to stage an annual Shakespeare play in the Wooded Outdoor Theatre. It's a project that started in 1956 when Dulcie Hose, Cecilia Sonnenberg and Renee Aronson spearheaded the first performance in this venue. And today, the Maynardville experience is a season of works with a classical twist. And this year's production of The Tempest resonates with that powerful founding female energy, directed by award-winning director Sylvain Strike. The play's Prospera becomes Prospera, played by Antoinette Killerman, a casting choice Strike said he had to do with her understanding of forgiveness, a defining theme of the play as a feminine quality. And joining me to unpack, I've got the executive producer of VR Theatrical for the Maynardville, that's Jaco van Rensburg. Good afternoon and welcome to the show.
Hello, thank you for having me. It's nice to be with you.
Shakespeare, can you believe it, has been around for the longest time, but coming to the works that you're doing at the moment, take us through the open air theatre that's going to be taking place, and especially, with The Tempest being the play that's being experienced here.
Yes, gladly. So, as you said correctly, the first Shakespeare in the Park at Maynardville was staged in 1956. So it's a massive Cape Town tradition of more than 86 years. And every year it's anchored by a Shakespeare production. Over the course of the last couple of years, we've developed this Shakespeare in the Park experience into something a little bit bigger and grander, where we present other companies, including the Cape Philharmonic Orchestra, the Cape Town City Ballet, and the Cape Town Opera Company, to present a festival of work, of which the Shakespeare still forms the cornerstone. And then over the last 3 years since I took up the tenure of executive producer, we've also added a food market that starts from 5 o'clock already, so people can come to the park, enjoy the heritage site, have a picnic by the dam, or enjoy some of our food offerings from local food trucks. There's a bar, People come under the twinkly lights and have something to eat before the time and then watch a performance under the stars. It is truly a quintessential South African and Cape Town event.
I was looking at the costumes, and they are influenced by the elements of the ocean, inspired by the ocean. But also I kind of like got a sense that, there's also an inspiration of life elements. Why take this direction?
Yes, so our set and costume designer Neil Griffin did an exceptional job at bringing the world of the Tempest to life through sort of the dramatic input. He asked himself the question, what would these people have made their clothes out of? And because the characters were shipwrecked on an island, it just made sense for them to have taken the sails of the boat that they were in, or the sort of, fabrics that they had, all organic fabrics. What would that look like if they were to have tried to make something to wear out of those elements? And he ended up blending this incredible world of natural fibers, where everything is natural, everything is of the earth, everything looks like it came from the trees or from the ground. So we end up with this really warm color palette and very interesting costume designs. Yeah, something really, truly unique, and the kind of work that you don't get to see in South Africa very often.
And The Tempest, it's a tale of betrayal, love, revenge, redemption. Is there anything that we can expect that we've never seen before?
Yes, absolutely. So The Tempest is said to be Shakespeare's last play that he wrote, and there's a little bit of everything. There's a bit of a romance, there's a love story, there is a bit of sort of backstabby, Sherlock Holmesy kind of an edge about people conspiring for power. It's epic in its scale, but it's also mythical and magical, and it deals with magic and sort of interesting themes as well of human forgiveness and betrayal. So it's really got a little bit of everything, and of course comedy. So it's a light sort of a play that doesn't get produced very often and isn't very well known, and that's why we wanted to give it a platform this year to shine. And Sylvain Strike and the rest of the team have really done an incredible job with amazing performances. And the season has been very well attended. We've only got 2 weeks left, so only 8 more performances. So people can get tickets at quicket.co.za or go to maynardville.co.za for more information on the program.
And how have been the performance like, and of course the attendance in the performances that have happened?
Oh, it's been really, really wonderful. We've also had some schools there on Mondays and Tuesdays. We run a schools program to try and make the work of Shakespeare not just sit on a page, but to bring it to life. Because most English students are forced to study Shakespeare, and it generally isn't a nice experience always, especially for second language users. I'm a second language speaker myself. And only once I started seeing the plays performed, it really does add a whole separate layer of liveliness and discussion to the play.
And what do you intend to provoke out of your audiences? What do you want them to take away?
Well, we want audiences to, first of all, come and have a great time with us and celebrate amazing artists and artistry. But on a secondary level, I think the theatre does make a point of holding up a mirror to society and to say, what can we learn from this? And I think there's a lot of themes and issues in The Tempest that we can ask questions about ourselves and our communities about.
And is there any audience participation?
There is, unfortunately, no audience participation, but we do invite audiences to clap, laugh, have a great time with us, and to just react, but they don't have to play a part.
That's all fine. So, Yaku, where do we go for more information? We see the tickets are 220 to 380, and for more info, where do we go?
That's right. For more information, you can visit maynardville.co.za or just search for The Tempest on quicket.co.za.
Yaku, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon.
very much for having me.
Thank you. That's Jaco van Rensburg, executive producer of VR Theatrical for the Maynardville, and talking about The Tempest. It will be a unique experience. It's open air.
Hey neighbor, what happened to you last night? We were vibing, watching the game, and then our team scored, and the next thing you were gone.
Askies, I missed the goal. You know, just before our team scored, Eskom came and then our electricity was disconnected.
Yo, so much drama. What happened?
We got a fine for buying electricity tokens from an illegal vendor.
And then your fancy orange jumpsuit?
Oh, just in case I get arrested for not paying the fine, Pela.
Ungathatha chance. Buy your electricity legally. Stop buying electricity from illegal vendors and tampering with electricity meters.
In the Arena is a docu-series that takes an in-depth look at the life and career of the legendary tennis player Serena Williams, offering a behind-the-scenes glimpse into her journey, both on and off the court. It explores her rise to tennis dominance, challenges, and personal experiences. Do not miss out on a great story of incredible impact. Catch In the Arena on Saturdays at 3 p.m. on SABC3. Alternatively, at 9 p.m. on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4 on Saturdays and Thursdays. Also available at your fingertips on SABC Plus. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport. For the love of the game.
Hey, listen up. With our Blue Sky offers, you can get your dream Ford with our optional service plan and our Ford Family Guarantee comes standard. Think extensive dealer network, genuine Ford parts, and express service. Visit your trusted Ford dealer for the complete Ford ownership experience. Limited time offer while stocks last. T&Cs apply.
Bertha Charuma on SAFM.
And it is the full circle. Coming up, I'm talking to Stephen Beckett, Fame Week Africa's head of marketing. Call for submissions, 2025 Fame Week Africa's Short Film Festival. Quite exciting if you are in this particular industry, if you're a writer, producer, whichever, sector you come from. So Fame Shorts Film Festival is now accepting submissions for its 2025 edition, inviting filmmakers from Africa and its diaspora to showcase their unique narratives and storytelling during the film festival in Cape Town's Labia Theatre. That's from the 6th to the 4th, from the 4th to the 6th of September. This is a celebration of African stories, and the festival provides a powerful platform for short films that explore themes of cultural heritage, modern life, diasporic identity, historical events, and pressing socio-political issues, with the potential to reach international film producers, hopefully Tyler Perry, who knows, Oprah Winfrey, who knows, and big industry players gathered for the annual Fame Week. I'm talking about Fame Week Africa Film and Media event. The Fame Shorts Film Festival champions diverse African content with a spotlight on films that highlight environmental concerns, evolving relationships between Africans and their land. Stephen Beckett is online just to unpack what can we expect, and also if you are a storyteller, if you're a writer, if you're a producer, if you're a filmmaker, what are the expectations? How can you become part of this big Fame Week Africa's Short Film Festival? Steve, good to have you on the show.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me.
So let's talk about Fame Week Africa's Short Film Festival. When I got the brief, for me, I thought, okay, we're focusing on Africa. What is the importance of showcasing Africa now with all its diversities?
Look, I don't think it's a now problem. I think the African narrative has always been needed to be pushed, and I think what the Fame Shorts Film Festival is really about is pushing that narrative and giving producers, directors, storytellers, content creators that opportunity just to get their message out there. I think there's so many different diverse messages within Africa and its diaspora. The diverse narratives are so widespread that we need to create these platforms. We also offer different categories as well. This includes best documentary, best narrative, including animations, as well as the LGBTQ narrative as well. And then we also offer those opportunities to students as well. So those different categories obviously culminate in the celebration.
we're talking about here from small to personal stories of people who live here or away from here. For if I am a filmmaker or a producer or a writer, what are the expectations from your side?
Look, the expectation is very broad spectrum. I think obviously the film has to have its roots in an African story, and obviously the narrative has to be that. The purpose of the festival is to make sure that people get to hear the African story or the African narrative that is displayed by the film, or those social, political, historical, pressing issues. That's what we really want to push out there. And as long as the shorts are under 30 minutes, we naturally get about 500 entries a year. And what we want to do is make sure that everybody has a unique opportunity to submit their films.
And the deadline I see is the 25th of April 2025. And when is the selection? Maybe just take me through that process.
All right. So we opened the submissions on the 10th of Feb. And then we give people enough opportunity. We give them just under 3 months to submit. And then the selection process starts from that time in April, so the 24th of April, and then everybody will get notified within 6 to 8 weeks with regards to whether or not they've been selected as well. And then, as you mentioned earlier, the event will be from the 4th to the 6th of September in the city of Cape Town at the Labia Theatre.
And looking at the categories, I think you did tap into the categories where I think you did, mention that your best documentary short film, best narrative short film, best animated short film. What else?
There's also the best student short film category, which is obviously a personal favorite for me. Obviously because, look, we have such great creative industries and creative schools within the city of Cape Town specifically, as well as the rest of South Africa and Africa. So what we want to do, obviously make sure that those kids get the opportunity to display their stories. Look, we have so many different creators, so many different narratives, and so many different messages that need to get out there, and they're not just for the seasoned professional, but also for those who are just about breaking into the market. Not many students get the opportunity to submit their films, but have the films ready. So we made sure that we created that industry and that category for them. And
you're partnering with Yes, Definitely. What's the importance of that partnership?
Look, this partnership for me is such a perfect celebration between the two brands. Yes, Definitely provide water bottles from recycled materials. And we, as the Short Film Festival, have selected the African penguin because it's on the endangered list. We've selected the African penguin as the main narrative or the main character for the Short Film Festival, and that mascot, if we can call it, then gets translated throughout the rest of the festival. Yes, Definitely, they give the African creators an opportunity to create a poster, and which then gets displayed on the water bottle itself, and then gets sold, and all the proceeds that go to charity as well, so that we can save those penguins as well.
And for the purposes of submission, once again, I think maybe if we could highlight and simplify it so that whoever wants to be part of this can find it easy to do so.
Yes, of course. So you can just head over to frameshortfilmfestival.com. That is, we're also on social media. We're on Facebook as well as Instagram. And then you can just submit your entry through those portals. The entry is pretty straightforward. I think all the creatives know Film Freeware as well, so it's a very simplistic way of entering. But yes, look, I'm very excited, and I think we still have just over just on 2 months left until the deadline does close. But I just encourage everybody to get their short film out there, man. Let's make sure you can get your voice heard.
Stephen, thank you so much for joining us and chatting to us this afternoon. Have yourself a good one.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Have a good day.
Bye-bye for now. That's Stephen Beckett, Fame Week Africa's head of marketing. And once again, you can submit your short film, and it has to be, I think, around about 30 minutes, preferably. Nothing that exceeds 30 minutes. And let me just give you the site once again. It is filmfreeway.com for more information, /Fame's Shots Film Festival. So it's Film Freeway as one word, FILMFREEWAY.com, then /Fame's Shots Film Festival, which is FAMESHORTS Film Festival, and you'll get your portal and all the information that you need so that you can submit your films. That is for anyone who's into writing, into filmmaking, directing, whichever way, or maybe you are a team that's been working on some works and you didn't know where to find access to put it out there. I suppose this is an opportunity. Go out there and break a leg.
SAFM has signed a code of conduct that is enforced by the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa. Under the code, we are committed to giving news that is accurate, comment that is fair, and programming that is not harmful, does not amount to hate speech, or contain violence or explicit sex. If you think we are not living up to that code, then you can inform the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa. Direct any complaints in writing to the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa. PO Box 142365. Craig Hall 2024. Fax to 011-326-3198 or an email to bccsa@nabsa.co.za. For more information, please visit www.bccsa.co.za. SAFM would like to thank everyone that submitted their entries for the playwriting competition. The announcement of the top 10 and winners of the competition will be announced on the 3rd of March 2025 on The Talking Point with Kathy Mutlatlana. Stay tuned to SAFM and find out who is the lucky winner. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us.
Top stories at 2 Customary Initiation Act regulations gazetted, and Lesotho instructs the JRA to repair potholes. For SAFM News, I am Ondela Mbana, and a very good day. President Cyril Ramaphosa says government has gazetted Customary Initiation Act regulations for public comment. This after Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs Minister Velenkosini Hlabisa held a meeting with relevant stakeholders last month to discuss the challenges associated with customary initiation practices. This follows the deaths of 28 young men in the Eastern Cape during the summer initiation season. Ramaphosa was speaking in Cape Town at the annual opening of the National House of Traditional and Khoisan Leaders.
We cannot as a nation countenance that young men come back in body bags from initiation processes. This is an important development, the process of redrafting the regulations. If we are to address the commercialization and abuse of customary initiation, because it's quite clear to us that there is abuse of a very important tradition that has been handed down over generations by our forebears.
The National Department of Health has launched a new HIV treatment campaign aimed at getting the missing 1.1 million people who are not on treatment into care by the end of December this year. The campaign is part of the country's efforts to also get 95% of people diagnosed with HIV that are receiving and adhering to antiretroviral therapy to achieve viral suppression. The campaign is a collaborative effort between the Department of Health and South African National AIDS Council. Minister of Health Dr. Aaron Motsoaledi launched the initiative at the Chris Hani Baragwanath Hospital in Soweto.
Today we are launching a very, very important campaign whereby we are going to look for 1.1 million people who are known to be HIV positive but are not on treatment. Either the way they've stopped or they've never even started treatment. We are doing so because we want South Africans not to get used to the idea that there's a disease called HIV and AIDS, and it's there, and we are going to live with it, or we are going to live side by side with it. They must know that we must eliminate it. We might not eradicate it, but our aim is to eliminate it as a public health threat by 2030.
Gauteng Premier Panyaza Lesufi says he's instructed teams at the Johannesburg Roads Agency to repair potholes within 72 hours of it being reported. Lesufi says he's appointed the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research to identify potholes on Johannesburg roads and notify the agency. The Premier will be meeting with President Cyril Ramaphosa at the province's local government to discuss the 13 major issues affecting the province. Lesufi spoke to SABC News this morning.
We're putting up the system. We have appointed CSIR, pick up any pothole that develops. And we said to our staff, 72 hours. After it has been reported to us, let's repair it within 72 hours. Traffic lights. The kind of traffic lights that we have is outdated. So we have identified 400 that we want to replace as quickly as possible. So we are attending to it. We call them G13 now. These are 13 problems that we need to resolve as government. And on Friday, I'm meeting with the executive mayors just to put a concrete plan that will address this kind of situation.
The N4 between Zeerust in the northwest and Botswana border has been closed due to protest. Protesters have blockaded the intersection of the busy N4 and R49 roads just outside the Zeerust CBD. Police spokesperson Mpomanyoba has urged motorists not to use the road until further notice.
Northwest Zeerust, there has been an ongoing protest action since 7 o'clock this morning. The road is blocked. The R49 route from Rustenburg entering Zeerust closed. The R49 route from Mafikeng to Zeerust, from Gaborone to Zeerust, as well as the Kloof Street that is entering Zeerust CBD is also closed. Road users are urged not to use those entries, those routes until further notice. The situation is under control.
U.S. President Donald Trump has backed Elon Musk's directive to federal employees, saying that non-responders would be, as he put it, sort of semi-fired. A deadline has passed for federal employees to submit an email summary of their work to Musk's Department of Government Efficiency or potentially lose their jobs. The directive has faced legal challenges and several departments have told workers to ignore it. Rushab Shawi is General Counsel of the American Federal Government Employees Union, which has decided to sue. He told the BBC such a process, if lawful, would be handled very differently.
If the government wanted to implement a program like this, it would have to go through the proper procedures to do that. It would have to issue a regulation. That regulation would have to get input from all of the valid stakeholders. And then eventually there's a possibility agencies could be directed to do this at some point. But it would be a longer process. People would know what's actually going on.
Recapping the top story, President Cyril Ramaphosa says government has gazetted Customary Initiation Act regulations for public comment. I am Ondilambara for SFM News Headlines at 2:30.
In business, a rand saved is a rand earned, and almost 100,000 businesses trust OUTsurance.
I'm in tourism. I'm running a guest house here. When I switched over to OUTsurance, it was very simple and convenient. I used the savings to subsidize my solar installations. Switching to OUTsurance was one of the best decisions I made insurance-wise, yes.
For your business insurance, contact OUTsurance to see how much your business could save. SMS quote to 43328 for immediate cover, or visit outsurance.co.za today. A licensed insurer in FSP. T's and C's online. SAFM would like to thank everyone that submitted their entries for the playwriting competition. The announcement of the top 10 and winners of the competition will be announced on the 3rd of March 2025 on The Talking Point with Kathy Mutlatlana. Stay tuned to SAFM and find out who is the lucky winner. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. You are listening to The Full Circle.
See
nation through the people's eyes. See tears that flow like rivers from the skies, and where it seems there are only borderlines, where others turn and sigh, you shall rise. You shall rise. There's disaster in your past, boundaries in your path. What do you desire when lifts you higher? You don't have to be extraordinary, just forgiving those who never heard your cries. You shall rise. You shall rise. And look toward the skies. Where others fail, you'll prevail in time. You shall rise. You may never know if you lay low. 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 You shall rise. You shall rise. You shall rise. Sooner or later we must try living. You may never know if you lay low. 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 See the nation through the people's eyes. See tears that flow like rivers from the skies, and where it seems there are only borderlines, where others turn and sigh, you shall rise. You shall rise. You shall rise. You shall rise. You may never know if you lay low. 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 Sooner or later we must try
Living in the Full, Metafix. It is the full circle, and if you've missed the first hour of the show, we kicked off with nurses, crucial, how important they are. We had a discussion around how they are undervalued, especially when it comes to taking care of TB patients. And we spoke to Dr. Carmen Christian, an economics lecturer at the Economics and Management Science Department at the University of the Western Cape, and saying that nurses are going an extra mile, literally taking their hard-earned money and sharing it, buying patients food so that they can take their medication, and they are not even compensated for their money that they use. Also, we spoke to Jaco van Rensburg, executive producer of VR Theatrical for the Maynardville, and we're talking about The Tempest. This is an open air theatre activity, or should I say open air festival in Wynberg, Cape Town this weekend, continuing a decades-old tradition to stage an annual Shakespeare play in the wooded outdoor theatre. Unique experience. Maybe if this is something you could add on to your bucket list and go and experience it, and also share with us what your experience would have been. Also, we spoke to Stephen Beckett just before we crossed over to the news desk, and we're talking about Fame Week, Africa's head of marketing, and we're talking about the Fame Shorts Film Festival accepting submissions for its 2025 edition, and all you have to do is go to their site, that's filmfreeway.com, and you'll get more information there. Coming up now on the other side of the hour, the other side of 2, health and wellness. Sexual Reproductive Health Month it is, and we're going to be talking to Dr. Kensani Nkwashu, Executive Manager, NSP Implementation at South African AIDS Council. Why? It is because February marks Sexual and Reproductive Health and Healthy Lifestyle Month in South Africa, an initiative aimed at promoting awareness, education on essential health topics, a key highlight of the month in Condom Week, which ran from the 12th to the 18th of February, dedicated to addressing the importance of safe sex practices. And for some unknown reason, I suppose, we forget things sometimes. We went through COVID and our mindset somehow shifted, and we forgot about, the HIV pandemic and where we ought to take using condoms as something that is so pivotal in your engagements, so that you have safe sex, basically. So in support of this STI awareness and Condom Week activities, we observed under the theme Be Condom Wise, the campaign targeted a concerning trend, which is declining condom use, which poses significant risk for HIV transmission and unplanned pregnancies. By promoting condom use and educating the public on SRH matters, TB, HIV care aim to empower communities with knowledge and resources for better health outcomes. I suppose this is the time when we need to revisit and see where is the gap. Dr. Kensani Nkwashu, good afternoon and welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon to all the listeners.
And we take it for granted, when it's just words, a heap of words, sometimes we really miss the essence. So coming back to basics, understanding Sexual and Reproductive Health Month, this is something to make us aware of something that we've always been part of, but for some unknown reason, we've kind of taken it to the back seat.
Yes, I'm so excited because there are really, take note that there was a time where in a country we had high prevalence or a high numbers of people who were HIV positive. And we know that the condom played an important role in reducing those new HIV infections. Indeed, condom plays, condom plays an important role, and most of us we have forgotten about it. However, in our line of work, we always say that condom is the king. Why do we always say condom is the king? Condom is the king based on its effectiveness of, ensuring that you don't get HIV, and also its effectiveness in ensuring that you also don't get any STI, and also, again, of most importance, is that you can use it as a method of contraceptives. Hence, it becomes a key because of the way that it comes against the risk factors that are out there. And today we have found that majority of us, we talk about all these other preventative measures, and we forgot to say, take charge, use a condom. It is effective in HIV and STI and also pregnancy prevention. And what do we mean when we say by that? We say that you might not be taking any other contraceptives, but if you use a condom regularly, every time when you have sex, you reduce your chances of getting HIV and also of getting pregnant by almost 99% out of it.
Doc, so I do beg your pardon for interjecting. I think I should have done my housekeeping right at the top of the show to say that parental guidance is advised. This is a disclaimer. If you have children with you in the car, or maybe you are wherever you are and you're listening to the show, parental advice is advised. And coming back to you, Doc, and sorry for that small interjection there.
Yes. Yes. So as I was highlighting that, why do we need to use condoms? Point number one is effectiveness in preventing HIV, STIs, and pregnancy. Number two, in prevention of sort of unintended pregnancies, and also it becomes a cost-effective strategy for us because as an individual, you take charge, of your sexual health. You take charge as to what do you do. If you know that you are an individual who's already sexually active, you can currently we provide, from the public health side, we provide male condoms and also female condoms. If you walk into our public health facilities, you will find that they are there. However, its popularity has gone down, because currently other people will come and choose another method, leaving the condom behind. What are we saying? We are saying that condom is the best strategy that can be used by individuals. And additionally, it is cost effective. It is not as expensive as when you look at the other strategies that we usually, sort of compare to, like your injectables, like, ensuring that the other person behavior change comes into play. But we are saying the cheap method, and use regularly, you get used to it, and it becomes, part of your sexual life. I'll stop there for now for any more information.
I'm speaking to Dr. Kensani Nkwashu, Executive Manager, NSP Implementation at the South African AIDS Council. And we're talking about, Sexual Reproductive Health Month and highlighting the fact that you have to go back to basics. It may sound very, very old-fashioned, but trust me, it is very, very effective. Using your condom is so effective. And when we come back, we continue with our conversation. And also, I would just like to find out why it is that the mindset has shifted, why we've abandoned something that has been tested, tried, and has been effective. We'll be back.
A convicted murderer on death row, a vicar in a quiet English town, and a maths teacher trapped in a cellar cross paths in the most unexpected way. Jefferson Grief is on death row in an American prison for brutally murdering his wife. But it turns out that Grief has a gift. He can solve crimes from inside his cell. English journalist Beth Davenport needs Grief's help. Janice, a woman who recently helped Beth, has gone missing. The last Beth heard from Janice? A text with a blurry image of a man lunging towards the camera. Will Grief crack the case in time? Exactly how is Janice's local vicar involved? And is it really possible to solve a crime before it is committed? Tune into Inside Man, Monday to Wednesday at 9 p.m. Starts 12 February only on S3. Open up.
You are listening to The Full Circle.
And I'm speaking to Dr. Kensani Nkwashu. It is a health and wellness section, and we're talking about the use of condoms and why, trying to understand why that, condom use has declined. And some of the reasoning behind it, common myths and misconceptions about condoms and how they contribute to the decline. And I also like the fact that, the mindset has changed because there are other systems that have been introduced on the market, other prevention measures that other people feel are much more user-friendly. But this is an old method that actually covers quite a number of things. It tackles teenage pregnancy, and it also covers you from any, sexual transmitted diseases and a whole lot more. But let me leave it to Dr. Nkwashu. Nkwashu, welcome back.
Yes, thank you very much. I think, okay.
we were talking earlier, just before we went to the break, that maybe the attitude has slightly shifted because we've now been introduced to other measures that we find just a little bit more comfortable, but at the same time, very expensive or unaffordable.
Yes, you are right there. That, as HIV, progress along the way, as a country also, we progress with it, starting to adapt, to this new method. Currently, there is the U equals to U, where you can get your treatment, and the viral loads can be, to the minimum in such a way that it's no longer transmittable. However, we forgot that, yes, being a good strategy, however, it also comes with risks, because you will not be protected against sexually transmitted infections, and you will not be protected against any pregnancy. So we adapted this easy, calm, method of HIV prevention. And I'm very excited when we are talking about condoms today, because we are saying, let's go back to the basics. Where have we fallen back, as a country? We fell back and then left the condom where we were not doing that awareness as much as we used to do. A lot of people currently, they know that there is a condom, but some of them have never even seen it. They've never touched it and seen it, and even experienced using it. So it calls us to go back to the basics, that we educate about it and we increase the awareness, and the campaigns when it comes to the condoms. That as much as we want to talk about all those new methods, a condom should always be in the forefront, as I've highlighted, because of all its benefits that it has. And also, the other thing that made people to be reluctant, about using condoms is the fact that it is free. You can access it. Yes, there are condoms that are sold, from the private market. However, the fact that, government will say that, okay, we issue you with a free condom, people then tend to think that since that condom is free, probably it's not of high quality, and probably it's not a good brand. And what will surprise you is that usually we partner with a good brand and we say, make a condom where we put our own brand on it, and then you use it. There was even a time where we used different, sort of flavors for the brand based on the market analysis that we did. You can get a condom that is got a banana flavor, a strawberry flavor, an orange flavor, and then along the way, we were told that, oh no, remove the flavor. When you remove the flavor, there is always something. However, I just wanted to say that the fact that it is free, it doesn't mean that it is of low quality. It has passed all the standards, SABS approved, and it can stack up with all these other brands that you can walk in and get it from, other retailers. And also, it's the way that a condom, it's social marketing, the way that it has been marketed outside. We usually market it as, for prevention also. But we also say that, using a condom, it can also enhance, your sexual activities. Those who are using constantly, they will even say that, the sex becomes more pleasurable, when you got a condom. Hence, we are saying that the condom is the key that should not be forgotten, because it works effectively. It's more like, it's a one-stop show. You will never ever you'll never ever go wrong if you are using a condom. And again, why condom? All the myths that are coming with the condom. It's more of saying that, the perception that our people, get when they visit some of our public sectors, that when they start to ask for condoms, they are looked down. They are looked down, and already a perception is made about them, saying that, oh, this teenager, oh, this young person, all that they do is just have sex the whole day, and they do nothing. Yes, hence it turns people off. It turns people off completely. Yes, so we need to adopt, that mindset that when I see a young person, coming, requesting any form of sexual reproductive health services, I should be open and even take it to the next step of educating them, going further, educating them, showing them how to use this condom, make them feel this condom, give them a choice where they can choose from, rather than, shunning them and stigmatizing them. I'll talk there for that, yes.
Well, parental guidance is advised once again, in case you are listening and you have children with you. You really need to take note of that. In terms of, Doc, coming back to you, how do we then go back to basics in terms of engaging communities, calling for action? Because when it was introduced, we used to see so much information. We were bombarded, literally. It was everywhere. And then all of a sudden, it just stopped. And I think when it stopped, then it was out of sight, out of mind.
Yes, that is a very good question. I will tell you this, as you are saying that, where do we start? I would say that we start by enhancing education and also awareness campaigns. A lot of people don't even know now, the young ones who are coming up. We've got this perception that they will learn, either they learn from their friends, they learn from YouTube, and they learn from other social media. So, number one, education, awareness, and campaign. And then education also. We are saying that we are modern parents. We are parents where we've got a lot of aspect from outside. So let's take charge as parents first. Let's take charge, and I make the education of my child my first priority. Yes, we've got most of us who come from rural areas, you still, sort of shunning and say there are some specific subjects that you can't discuss with your child. But we are born beyond that era. If you don't discuss anything with your child, the world will teach them something, and that is not correct. So I'll say, number one, parents, let's be parents. Play a role. In a family, in most of the families, there will be that mom nanny, that uncle, that, each and every child confide to, each and every child talk to. So I'm saying the mom nannies and the uncle, let's take charge and educate also our children about sexual-related activity. We must not leave them outside there. If they say they know, and find out what is it that they already know. So that is the first priority, that education, awareness, and campaigns. Yes, when it comes to campaigns, we have sort of gone back as a country, especially when it comes to promoting a condom or any prevention-related activities in the country. And it's something that we said we've been looking at, from standard side with our partners, which is government, civil society, private sector, that we need to enhance them. I will tell you that, over the weekend, I went out with some friends, then we started to talk about prevention-related activities. We started to talk about prayer. I was so shocked to find that the team of the people that I was sitting with on the table, none of them knew anything, nothing, zero about prayer. And they started looking at me to say, but we used to have Soul City. We used to see these things, it was taught to us outside. There used to be billboards. Now there is nothing. So as you are saying, we need to go back. We need to relook into the strategies that work. We can't throw everything outside.
Absolutely. Yes. Dr. Kensani, thank you so much for chatting to us this afternoon. That's Dr. Kensani Nkwashu, Executive Manager, NSP Implementation at the South African AIDS Council. And then I just got a WhatsApp that says, on the issue of declining condom use, do not rule out the abstinence factor. Some of us have opted to refrain from sexual activities for various reasons. Point taken. It's time for news.
Thank you, Bertha. And the news headlines. President Cyril Ramaphosa says the deaths of initiates at initiation schools in the Eastern Cape is unacceptable. Ramaphosa speaking at the annual opening of the National House of Traditional and Khoisan Leaders in Parliament. KwaZulu-Natal Premier Thami Ntuli has called for a review on where and how houses are built to try to prevent future weather-related tragedies. And the annual tourism event Meetings Africa expects more business activities in Johannesburg and the surrounding townships. South Africa is hosting the 19th Meetings Africa conference at the Sandton Convention Centre. A full update follows at the top of the hour.
This program is brought to you by SABC Education, enriching minds, enriching lives.
everyone. My name is Munira and I am 10 years old. If I'm being honest, I talk a lot. I could talk all day if I had to. I would even talk in my sleep. Okay, fine, I won't actually talk in my sleep. What I'm trying to say is that I talk a lot. I obviously won't talk in class because that's our class rule. I think because I like talking, I could teach a friend an interesting fact. I basically love talking and I will yap to my parents until they fall asleep. Same happens with my siblings. It's like 70% I yap and yap. And guess what else? Yap! And 30% I listen to music, to my teachers, my family, and my friends, and obviously the latest drama. Thank you for listening, ladies and gentlemen. Have a good day.
Hello everyone, my name is Ashley Kabamba. I actually talk more than I listen more. I believe the importance of listening more and talking less can improve our ability to understand people and make us a better communicator. I have had moments where I did wish someone had listened to me more carefully. That was a moment where I felt misunderstood. One way I think could help our listening skills improve could be by when someone else is speaking, try not to interrupt or add an opinion until that person is completely done saying what they needed to say. I really do believe if I were to listen more to others, I would really learn a lot of new things.
Hello everyone, I'm Rishvika Talib. I consider myself more of a listener than a talker. I don't talk much to people. I prefer listening to what others have to say. The importance of listening more and talking less is that you get a chance to observe people and read them based on how they carry themselves in a company. There are times where I don't stop talking. Sometimes I can talk more than others, and that's where I want to be heard the most since I'm really talkative. I've noticed that when you pay more attention to what others say, sometimes you can learn things from them, whether it be life lessons of their own or just useful things in general. You can improve your listening skills by being more attentive in conversations and observing others while they speak. Thank you for listening. Bye.
Good day. My name is Mene Angel Ngobera. And to be honest, I talk more than listening more. The importance of listening more and talking less is that you get to keep those things that you've heard in your mind, in your heart, and literally if it's a warning, you'll obviously remember it all the time. Like when your parents tell you that don't come back home late, come back home early, do the dishes and things like that. It's something that you always remember. Yes, I had wished that there was a time where someone listened to me more carefully. And that was when I told my friend to go and study with me, but then she refused and she ended up failing the term. How I think we can improve our listening skills is that we can practice on talking less and listening more. We can also ask our teachers or the people around us on how we can listen more or improve our listening skills. Yes, I do think you can learn something new from listening to others more. Let us listen to understand and not to respond. Thank you and have a lovely day.
My name is Dembele Madem. Yes, I am a good listener. Yes, I do listen carefully and attentively when people talk to me. Yes, I think it is important to make eye contact when people talk to you because it is extremely rude to look away when people are talking to you. When someone is talking to me, I listen to understand. There was a time where I gave my parents irrelevant answers when they were asking me questions. What caused that is because I was not concentrating and I was busy with my phone.
My name is Katlangan and I do think that I'm a good listener. I do listen carefully when someone is talking to me. It can be a stranger, it can be a friend, it can be a family member. I will listen to you. I think it is important to make eye contact because imagine like you're looking at your phone and someone is trying to talk to you. They might think that you're ignoring them. So as soon as you make eye contact, that they know that you're listening to them. I do both. I listen to understand and to listen to respond. But it depends what you're telling me.
There was never a time when someone asked me and I gave an irrelevant answer. Usually when I don't know how to answer something that you ask me, I just tell you that I can't answer that or I don't know how to answer that.
Hello friends! Today we're talking about the importance of listening not just to hear, but to understand. It's super important, whether you're at school or at home. Listening helps us learn, make friends, and understand the world around us. To improve our listening skills, it's important to focus on the person who is speaking. This means putting away everything that may distract us, like our toys, phones, or gadgets, and looking at the one speaking to us. When you give the person who's talking to you full attention, it shows that you care about what they're saying and makes it easier for you to understand their message. Another way to become a better listener is to ask questions. If you don't understand something someone says, it's okay to ask them to explain it to you again. Asking questions shows that you are interested and helps you remember the information better. It's also a good idea to repeat what you heard in your own words. This can help you check if you understood correctly and shows the speaker that you are paying attention. Listening is not just about hearing words, it's about understanding the feelings and ideas behind them. When someone is talking, try to imagine how they feel and what they are trying to say. This is called empathy, and it helps you connect with others. By listening with empathy, you can make your friends feel valued and understood, which strengthens your relationships. Sometimes we listen just to respond quickly with our own thoughts or opinions. But it's important to listen to understand first. This means really thinking about what the other person is saying before you reply. When you listen to understand, you learn new things and see different perspectives. It also shows respect for the speaker, making conversations more meaningful and enjoyable. Developing strong listening abilities can have a significant impact on your life. It can enhance your academic performance, foster friendships, and improve your ability to solve issues. So whenever you're engaging in a conversation, make sure to focus completely, inquire, and provide feedback. These actions will transform you into an exceptional listener and a more supportive person.
This program was brought to you by SABC Education. Enriching minds, enriching lives. You are listening to The Full Circle.
And welcome back. Well, coming up next, we're talking to Candice Chirwa, founder and director, and we're talking about an amazing campaign, Dads for Pads, an initiative designed to empower fathers to confidently support their daughters as they navigate menstruation. And many fathers feel unprepared to discuss this topic, and our campaign, the campaign aims to provide with knowledge, tools to engage in these important conversations. And quite a lot of fathers these days, you find single parenting and you don't know where to start. This is maybe a point where you can start, and Candice is going to help us unpack what this is all about and the initiative, as why this particular drive, what are the objectives, and what do they intend to achieve by this particular campaign. Candice, good afternoon and welcome to the show.
Bertha, thank you so much for having me, and thank you to your listeners for listening in.
Thank you for making time. So if you could just maybe give us a highlight, what is it, maybe just give us some form of understanding what Dads for Pads is all about and why this campaign.
Well, Bertha, period poverty is a socio-economic phenomenon that has had a devastating impact on girls' ability to go to school, participate in social activities because they cannot afford to purchase period products. The stats are very alarming that speak to about 7 million girls and women cannot afford period products every month. And I think what we've seen with the conversations and the workshops that Curate has done is that a lot of young girls in particular don't feel confident enough to speak openly around menstrual health, but they can't even speak openly to their parents around this. So I found that having conversations with men in particular was always interesting because they weren't entirely sure about what menstruation is. And so we thought to create this campaign, Dads for Pads, as a way to target men, in particular dads who have girl children, to speak openly and speak confidently about menstrual health, to normalize menstrual health as a natural biological function. Because at the end of the day, menstrual health should be seen as the same to sneezing, as the same to anything else. But yet in our society, we see it as something that needs to be hidden, something that needs to be kept as a secret. And this is what Dads for Pads is about. It's about rallying men to come together to show their support for their daughters and for girls in their lives, to say this phenomenon called period poverty needs to end.
And traditionally, this is not something that was done. And I do understand, because of the changes of time, things also have to change. What brought about this idea? What was going on? What triggered this?
What triggered the conversation was the taboo specifically around menstrual health is that it's only a woman and girls issue, and therefore it becomes a woman and girls' responsibility to solve period poverty. But when you look at it, when young girls don't have access to period products, that leaves a massive amount of human rights implications onto them. If they cannot afford, they can't go to school, then therefore they miss out on school, they drop out of school, and then there's a huge amount of consequences that are left onto them, and therefore it needs to be seen as a human rights issue. So when a human rights issue is being tabled to government, that requires everyone in society to come on board. So Dads for Pads is this campaign. It's this rallying call to say husbands, uncles, fathers, dads, come into this conversation and learn about menstrual health, so that when your young girl starts her period or young daughter starts her period, you don't feel isolated. You don't necessarily say, oh, we'll leave it to mom. Or even if they are single dads, they'll say, we'll leave it to the aunt to deal with it. That they can confidently speak about menstrual health because they have been empowered. And that's what this campaign is about. I think even in my conversations with males, male figures, male friends, I always find that they come up with really interesting responses when they know that someone's on their period. They say, oh, well, I should stay away. I shouldn't do anything about it. But no, it requires everyone's participation, especially when young girls are going through this. The campaign is really saying, let's ensure that when a young girl starts a period, she is not terrified, but it's actually a celebration for another transition into her adulthood life, and that she can rely on any parent, including her father, to assist her in this. And we want to shift fatherhood into becoming a positive thing. We want fathers to actively every month be sending period packages or knowing what menstrual product their daughter requires, assisting with anything they require from a mental health perspective. This is a holistic intervention to saying, let's not just leave it on women and girls to solve period poverty, but let's bring in men in this conversation.
You've got a petition for men to sign, which has been launched for dads, uncles, husbands, and men to pledge their commitment to ending this period stigma. Where do they go?
So they can go on our website, which is www.curate.org.za/Dads for Pads, and you'll see the petition under the tab. What is also great about this petition is that it deeply explains the implications of period poverty, and it also says what exactly the role of the petition is. So it's calling on dads to come together and also allowing them to share this campaign amongst their community to say, we need to end period poverty. And this has just been an incredible campaign that we've just started recently in collaboration with Lombangula Advertising, who are helping us spearhead this message. And we're also going to be having a film coming out, which is really exciting, I think, as a way for people to visually see the real impact of period poverty on the girl child.
If you could maybe make me understand or maybe unpack the public service announcement film, which will be launched on a popular podcast. What is this all about?
So this PSA film is a very emotionally thought-provoking film to allow allow people to understand just the implications of period poverty. But it is shot in such an intimate way to see to showcase that if single dads are not empowered or educated around menstrual health, that a young girl is left isolated by herself. But the way this film is sort of captured is to show that dads can step up, that dads can really go above and beyond to be involved in not only ending period poverty, but also being a positive male figure in their daughters' lives. So this film is going to be up on a popular podcast platform. It'll be up tomorrow in afternoon. So all people can do is they can follow Dads for Pads on social media, on Instagram and Facebook, so that they can be up to date. But what we're hoping that this film will do is that it will shift the narrative around menstrual health, and in particular towards men. It'll get them involved in the conversation to be very thought-provoking, to say, how is it that period poverty exists in our society? And what is it that I can do in my personal capacity, whether it's as an employer, as a father, what is it that I can do to end it in South Africa? And that's what we're hoping and striving that this film will do.
You're collaborating with Lobengula Advertising.
Yes.
Which is...
it's an yeah.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, it's an award-winning agency that has been doing incredible work for the past 5 years. And what we find really incredible about this campaign is that the work is really driven by them, but we are, as Curate, being the platform to spearhead the menstrual health conversation. So we're really grateful for all the work that they've been doing, and I think it's really an opportunity to showcase South African talent, because it's the producers, it's the filmmakers, it's the editors, the social media managers that are creating all of this collateral that everyone is getting to see. And so we're really grateful for this collaboration with the LA agency. And yeah, we're hoping that it will allow more exposure to the incredible work that they've been doing.
And before I let you go, the site again, it is www.curate. It's Q.
Curate. Yes, QRATE.org.za/Dads for Pads. And if people would like to stay in touch, especially with the film that is coming out tomorrow, please feel free to follow us on social media. That is Dads for Pads on Instagram and on Facebook.
That's my guest this afternoon, and we're talking about Dads for Pads. And if you're a dad, maybe you're a single dad, this is a moment where you just get to learn a thing or two and help, if you have any daughters, just simplify your life, because these are life happenings that you and I can never escape. Let's just take a small break. We'll be back.
Meet TJ, the magician. Well, he isn't quite the magician, but shame, let's call him that. The other day he tried to do that coin ear trick. Poor Owami is still in the hospital with a 5 rand coin stuck in his ear. He tried getting his pit bull, Mufasa, to levitate. Oh, he got that right. But now Mufasa is levitating through Tembisa, and somehow TJ forgot to read the section on how to get Mufasa back down. It's tough being a magician, but luckily for TJ, Britain's Got Talent Ultimate Magician will be the perfect inspiration for him to be the best magician in Tembisa. Catch Britain's Got Talent Ultimate Magician Saturdays at 7:30 p.m. only on S3. Open up.
SAFM would like to thank everyone that submitted their entries for the playwriting competition. The announcement of the top 10 and winners of the competition will be announced on the 3rd of March 2025 on The Talking Point with Kathy Mutlatlana. Stay tuned to SAFM and find out who is the lucky winner. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us.
All right. Let's talk TV licenses. Did you know that paying your TV license isn't just about legalities? It helps fund local productions and creates jobs in the entertainment industry. That means more epic dramas, exciting sports and news that keeps us informed. So, when was the last time you checked yours? Visit www.tvlicense or tvlic, which is tvlic.co.za. That's www.tvlic.co.za, and make sure you're up to date. After all, it's your screen, your story. Hashtag your screen, your story.
SAFM supports a litter-free South Africa. Play your part in keeping our surroundings and environment clean. SAFM, leading the conversation. You are listening to The Full Circle.
And just in case you've just tuned in, yes, you are on the Full Circle. It's Bertha in for Bridget. And in the first hour, we spoke about nurses that are going an extra mile, nurses being undervalued when it comes to looking after TB patients. And I spoke to Dr. Carmen Christian, an economics lecturer at the Economics and Management Science Department at the University of the Western Cape, and just calling out. And I think also maybe we need to put our heads together, come up with a solution to assist these nurses that go beyond their job, supplying patients with food before they take their meds. Also, we had a conversation on, we spoke about Menardsville, The Tempest on stages, pages, screens, and more. And we spoke to Jacob van Rensburg, executive producer of VR Theatrical for the Menardsville. And we're talking about Shakespeare's last play, The Tempest, opened at the Menardsville Open Air Festival in Wynberg in Cape Town. And going on, that's from the 16th to the 23rd of February. So hopefully, well, maybe if you've watched the show, you've enjoyed it, and if you haven't, it's always welcome to hear your views as people that we give all these insight or info to. Also, we had a call for submissions, 2025 Fame Week, Africa's Short Film Festival, and I spoke to Stephen Beckett talking about Fame Week, Africa's head of marketing, and what they're doing is they have Fame Week, they have Fame Week, where basically they are calling filmmakers, inviting producers, writers, and anyone from the diaspora to showcase their unique narratives and storytelling during the film festival at Cape Town Libya Theatre. That's from the 4th to the 6th of September. And I've just spoken to Candace Chirwa, and we're talking about Dads for Pads, where this is an initiative, a campaign to include fathers, uncles, dads, any male figures in your family, to make them conscious about understanding menstruation in a simple manner in case you are faced with being a caregiver of a girl child. You shouldn't be surprised or be shocked. At least you will be well informed and know exactly what to do. And they do have a petition that they're signing in terms of, trying to conscientize you and I so that we are more aware. And what you can do is to assist, go to www.curate, spelled QRATE.org.za/dads for pads. Also, we had a conversation with Dr. Kensani Nkwashu, and this particular conversation, of course, had a PGA advice, which is parental guidance advice, and we're talking about sexual reproductive health because it is the month where we all have to be conscious of that. And I spoke to Dr. Kensani Nkwashu, Executive Manager, NSP Implementation at the South African AIDS Council, talking about condoms and why we need to still go back to basics. I know there are other ways now because we all feel we're advanced, and, we've kind of taken the condom issue into, out of sight, out of mind. We don't use them as much as we used to, but tried and tested, and they have worked. So that's a conversation that we had, and also highlighting the fact that it is so affordable, number one. And number two, any sexually transmitted diseases, it's one product that you can safely use and you are safe. Also, when it comes to unwanted pregnancies, it is something that we've tried and tested in the past, and you know that when you use your condom, falling pregnant is next to nil. But anyway, let's hear some of your voice notes just before we close the show.
Hi, this is Nati from KZN. I think Dr. Kensani is really scratching where it is itching. I'm working for an NGO here that is implementing a program for adolescents and young people. You know, when we sit on a monthly basis to analyze our statistics, you'll find that we are doing very well on PrEP, which is the pre-exposure prophylaxis. And then, but when you look at the STIs, the stats are very high, and then the number of adolescents that go for pregnancy tests, they are very high. So you can see that people are now focusing on PrEP, on these other interventions, and then forgetting or abandoning the usage of condom, which is, I think, is going to cause some problems, which is currently causing some problems already, because people are getting STIs and they can also get pregnant. So I think Dr. K is really talking to the very critical issues that we can attest to.
Dumela Bertha and your guest. Bertha, you know, nursing needs passion. Those nurses who pop out their old mind to see to it that